Three essential biochemical processes we're talking about today are photosynthesis, cell respiration, and the removal of wastes in cells. The syllabus point is in the description below. Let's start with photosynthesis, one of the basic drivers of life. This occurs in plants in the leaves, which contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. This process uses carbon dioxide and water, taking in energy from the sun, which is absorbed by the chlorophyll, to produce glucose and oxygen. This gives us the word equation: carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll produces glucose and oxygen. So photosynthesis has two stages, the first being light dependent and the second being light independent, meaning that doesn't require light. So firstly, for the light-dependent stage, which needs sunlight, this occurs in the grana of the chloroplasts. So remember back to your structure of your chloroplasts, the grana are the group of stacked discs, and this occurs specifically in the thylakoid membrane, which is the outer layer of those discs. The first stage is where light gets absorbed by the chlorophyll, which is a green pigment inside the thylakoid membranes. This process creates ATP, which is a source of energy, and glucose and hydrogen, which gets released into the air. So the second stage is the light-independent phase, and apologies for the error, it's meant to say light-independent. This occurs in the stroma of chloroplasts, and the second stage forms glucose and uses ATP from stage 1 as energy for this process. If you remember, glucose is one of the end products of photosynthesis. Now let's move on to respiration, one of the essential biochemical processes. So this is a process where glucose is broken down as energy source to drive cellular metabolism, which is the process that keeps us alive. This occurs in the mitochondria of cells, which is also the powerhouse of the cell. There are two types of respiration. One is anaerobic, meaning no oxygen, and happens with bacteria, and also alcohol fermentation. The second type of respiration happens in aerobic conditions, meaning it needs oxygen. This is most commonly what we talk about in terms of plants and animals, and the word equation is glucose plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide, water, and energy, which is also called ATP. So how is respiration related to photosynthesis? Well, photosynthesis produces glucose and oxygen. These are used up in respiration, and respiration produces carbon dioxide and water, which are used in photosynthesis. So this looks like a cycle where one process supports the other. So with these cell processes, waste and products need to be removed out of the cell, which mainly happens through diffusion through the cell membrane. This happens with chemicals, water, and fat-soluble molecules which bind charged molecules and then also diffuse out of the membrane. For dead cell parts, these are destroyed by the lysosome, which is a part inside the cell, and exocytosis removes large molecules that can't diffuse out, such as proteins. Now let's try a practice question. So for this one, we want to describe the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration. Describe means to provide characteristics and features, so a pretty simple question. So first of all, we want to say what photosynthesis does. It produces glucose and oxygen, which are required in respiration. Next, we want to say what respiration does and how it's related to photosynthesis. So it produces carbon dioxide and water, which are required in photosynthesis. When answering questions in biology, we also want to insert the word equations whenever you're talking about photosynthesis and respiration. So here they are, and make sure they're memorized. Thank you for watching, and feel free to leave us any questions. Bye for now.